Awesome. Well, it's great to see everybody. I am Cherie Constance. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer of Secure Investment Corp and Coco Nation. And Lee and I actually decided to do this webinar because he and I have been working together for, well, 20 years. And so Lee was also, in real estate before I came along. But we've been working together and we've been through lots of different market cycles. And we wanted to talk to everybody about that and um, how we have weathered the storm over the last 20 years together. And then, of course, Lee has his own, before that. So anyway, I'm super excited that you guys are here. If you have questions, please put them into the question box and we'll address those throughout the webinar. And we're just thrilled to share this with you. And of course, everyone knows Lee. So we're talking about the 25 years of insights. Everything that we've learned will now be yours. Things that we've, designed and created over the years. We always want to give that information to our clients and our students. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So one of the things that we always do is we let you guys know, of course, we can't guarantee your results. We can't tell you that you're going to earn a certain amount of money from what we are able to tell you about what we've done over the years. This presentation is not a guarantee of your future earnings, and our programs and those of our partners, we're designed to help you succeed and be profitable. But that success always comes down to your desire, your dedication, and your hard work. The Lee Arnold system of real estate investing, our team and our affiliates, we're not registered investment advisors and we don't give financial or investment advice. If you're looking for personalized financial guidance, please talk to a qualified professional. Do you all agree? Jazz hands? Awesome. Great. So we're going to be bantering back and forth, going over, what we remember, what we went through, things that we did, ways that we were able to work with each other, the hard times, the good times, and all the things that we gained and implemented after some of these hard market cycles that we've been through. So that's what we want to encompass and talk about today. So adversity builds our strength. When things don't go quite as planned, it's natural to feel frustrated. But these moments and these real world tests are precisely what pushes us forward. They force us to sharpen our thinking and make smarter plays and build deep, lasting resilience. So I'm going to actually have Lee talk about some of these things, some of the key takeaways of our setbacks. We firmly believe that failure is one of the best teachers out there. It's not the most fun teacher out there, but it certainly does help us to take those lessons and they get seared into your brain, right? So that's why the failure is probably one of the best teachers.
Yeah, a quick poll for you guys. How many of you have ever made a mistake? Show of hands. How many of you have ever made a mistake? Okay, and go ahead and put your hands down. Next question. How many of you, if you could go back, you would stop that mistake from happening? Okay. Did you learn from the mistake? Cherie and I are going to deep dive here into 2008. And I lost a substantial amount of money, like 40 million bucks, and it almost bankrupted me and the entire organization. And when people ask me the question, Lee, if you could go back and reverse that, would you? And I tell them emphatically, no, I would not, because it's the best thing that ever happened to me. And I think if we look at our mistakes from that perspective, not what did I lose, but rather what did I learn and what have I gained as a result of that knowledge, I think we can all agree that mistakes are probably some of the strongest learning lessons that you've had in life, in marriage, in business, in parenting, because we just make mistakes. So when we experience these setbacks, we learn to check our ego and refine our strategy. The strategy that we are employing today as an organization is very different than the strategy we employed in 2005 and 6 and 7 leading up to that crash. But we fully grasp our comfort level with risk. I had a very different risk profile pre 2008. I mean, I was crazy risky. Today, I'm conservative risky, meaning I'm going to conserve cash more than anything else. So if an opportunity presents itself, but it will take cash, I'm going to figure out another way to get it done so that I can preserve cash. Because one, cash is the fuel that keeps you growing and scaling, but two, cash is the thing that keeps you alive when markets shift. Now, as Cherie and I were having this conversation, as we were just ideating through what we're doing here today, I said, you know, Cherie, I want to make sure that this conversation doesn't come off as, you know, trepidation of the coming market. And so through our discussion here today, I don't want you guys to think that in any way we are predicting a crash or correction or some major catastrophic event. But I do believe we can all agree that things are changing, right? AI is moving very quickly. The way we used to do things is not the way we do them now. What used to take 10 people, we can now get it done in one. And with Elon Musk and the rise of his robot army, who knows how much longer people are even going to be involved or around. So how do we win with all of these changes in the economy, in the world, in the global environment? And that's really what we want to talk about here today. We become stronger when we solidify trust in proven methods and principles. So it is our systems that will carry us through. It is not our knowledge. It is not our ability. It is the systems that will get us through. We establish clear, more disciplined rules for future actions. Our ability to manage and mitigate risks significantly improves, and we gain profound confidence having navigated and overcome some challenges. And as Cherie started by telling you guys, we've worked together for 20 years. Cherie is our chief revenue officer, so she is more connected to me. She is my right-hand person more than anyone else, simply because we're the ones that are on the front lines developing a lot of the marketing strategy, the marketing curriculum, the marketing relationships and joint venture partnerships. And Cherie's seen a lot. So I know you guys hear from me a lot, and I wanted you to have the opportunity to hear it from somebody else's perspective so that you're not just getting one view of the last 20 and 30 years.
So I want you guys to think back to a significant misstep or major reversal you faced. How did that experience fundamentally alter your approach to moving forward? What were the crucial adjustments that you had to implement? So I actually do want you guys to let us know if you could just go into the chat box and let us know. I'm going to bring up the chat box here. Just share some of the things because we're going to be sharing with you too.
Yeah, so while you guys are writing, I'm going to share with you two major missteps that I made leading up to the crash of 2008. And there's been others, believe me, but this one was pretty significant at the time. I didn't realize it. But the first thing I was doing, every piece of real estate I owned was leveraged to the hilt. And by the hilt, I mean I was pulling 100 to 125% loans against my portfolio. And you're thinking, Lee, how do you even get 125% loan against your portfolio? Well, you get 100% loan from Greenpoint or Washington Mutual, the two companies that went belly up in the crash. And then you get a 25 or a 50% leverage lien from a private investor. So the bank leverages the individual asset, the private investor leverages your entire portfolio. Now, I was taking all of this surplus money and I was lending it out. And so many of you, I mean, I've been in the education space since 2001. So some of you may have been my client back in 2002 and 3 and 4 because we were doing loans back then. But the money that I was lending was all of my own cash that I had personally guaranteed and leveraged against my asset and my portfolio. So that was problem number one. I should have gotten other capital. I should have kept my portfolio less levered so that when disruption occurred, I had more room to maneuver. The second mistake that I made is I overextended myself because while I was leveraged to the hilt on my portfolio, I was also building $23 million ski in, ski out luxury homes in Deer Valley, Utah. And I thought, well, gee, if I can make 15 million in profit on one, I should build three of them all at the same time because economies of scale, I can get cheaper labor and cheaper materials and cheaper supplies and cheaper all this. When the market shifted just a smidge, all my cash was now being poured into all of these projects, and now suddenly my cash flow is being questioned because I was leveraged, and it didn't take long for the house of cards to tumble. So the point for all of you to learn from that is one, be very cautious about over leverage. Okay. So try to keep some equity, try to keep some cash. And number two, don't get overextended. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Just deal with what's on your plate, deal with the opportunities immediately in front of you, and don't overextend yourself financially and don't overextend yourself from a time commitment. Okay. That was the other mistake I was making. I was committing to all of these opportunities and I didn't have any time to do anything. So in the midst of all of the financial difficulties, now I got trouble at home because I got a wife and three kids in diapers and I'm never there. So it was a real recipe for disaster. And Cherie got to experience all of that. Huh,
Yeah.
Cherie?
Yeah, when I first started working with Lee, it was before all that happened. And I thought that everything seemed really well, put together when I got there. And then everything just slowly, well, actually quickly changed. We had an office, we had a lot of people working with us, and then it went to working outside of Lee's home in Draper, Utah, and then it went to Lee moving up to Spokane to be closer to home and to his family. And we were working out of his basement in Spokane, Washington. So it we went from an office space to a cramped space down in his basement and, various iterations to where we are today. But it's only because of all of the turmoil that we went through that Lee and Jacqueline were able to put into place some very long-lasting systems to make sure that we never ended up in that same spot again. So, we've gone through COVID and we've gone through these inflationary periods and recessions and since that period, we've been very careful about how much money we have in reserve, the systems that we put into place, where and how we buy properties, all of those things because of what we went through in the Great Recession. So,
Yeah, sure. I saw some comments come through. I don't have the ability to see them. What were
yep.
some of the feedback from our lovely audience?
So, one person said that they lost 54,000 on a flip. Have you
Mm.
lost 54,000 on a flip before, Lee?
I could show you many.
And I don't know how I drew on my slide, you guys. So I'm going to erase that really fast because it's going to carry through the rest of the slides. There we go. So, yeah, we've experienced that a lot. And then, one of the things that we've learned over the period of time is not over fixing houses. When you initially get into fix and flip, you want to make it pitch perfect, right? You want it to be lovely. You want it to be a place that you want to live in. And unfortunately, when you do something like that, you end up over leveraging yourself. And if the market turns, then you have to try and sell a house that you've put a lot of money into. And so what we've learned over the years is that, instead of trying to put an extra floor on a house, which I think we did one time, or I can't even all the things that we've done, but now we do the bare minimum to get it off the books. So that's something that we've learned over the years. So we do understand what that feels like.
Well, and guys, never forget the Warren Buffett school of business, right? In business, you're going to lose money, you're going to make money. Just make sure you make more than you lose, right? That's a classic Buffett line. And so don't let the losses define your competency as an investor because everyone loses money on deals. If you've never lost money on a deal, you're not a real investor, right? Because you can't be right all of the time, but you can't let it define you, right? You can't say, well, I used to be in real estate, but then I lost a bunch of money. No, you got to get back on the horse. You got to get back into the game because that's what it is. Just make sure you win more than you lose. And for those of you who are like, well, Lee, I don't even have the money to even attempt to win now. You're wrong because we know that you do not need capital to invest in real estate. We know you do not need capital to be a lender on real estate transactions. You just need to know people and be able to communicate the upside value of a deal. And you'll have more money coming at you than you'll know what to do with because there's far more money chasing deals than there is deals chasing money. And it's hard for people to hear that because you're like, well, that's not true. That's not what I found to be true because every time I go looking for money, it's not there. Well, that means one of two things. Either one, you're looking in the wrong place for money, or the deal that you're shopping is not attractive to money because money is attracted to opportunity. And so if money's not flowing at you readily available, it tells you that your opportunity is not attractive enough to the investors that have the capital. So revisit your deal. Go find a better one. Go structure it in a different way so that it's more attractive to the investor. I was in a meeting today with an investor on a deal that was going to produce 55% yield. And he said, Lee, it's too risky. I said, okay. The very fact that you're telling me that says I've done a poor job communicating to you why this is an amazing deal and why you should pull out your checkbook and write me a check right now. And so I slowed it down. I broke it down for him. And in about 5 minutes, he said, who should I make the check out to? Right? And so that's what I mean. Restructure, recommunicate, package it differently. But if you're not finding money, it's either the deal is bad or you're talking to the wrong people because money is always out there looking for opportunity. What else you got, Cherie?
We had someone who didn't put insurance on the duplex that they bought. They had thieves come in and steal all the windows, siding, electrical, and plumbing, and then the city condemned it.
Uh,
So the lost 34,000.
yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's a hard lesson. Yeah.
Any others?
Um, and then so we had someone who had to start completely over from scratch in their life. So, and we've been there. I remember when Lee moved up to Spokane, I still live in Utah. But when Lee moved up to Spokane, you guys were just barely scraping it, right?
Oh yeah, it was hand to mouth. I mean, I had to close a deal to cover the bills from last month. That's how bad it was.
Right.
In fact, I'll even go a step further. It was so bad that when we left Utah, one, I had to short sale the house I was living in because I had bought it for 720. A year later, I refinanced it and got a loan against it for 1,200,000. And a year after that, I short sold it for 520,000, losing 700 grand. Well, the bank lost 700 grand because I had to short sale it. And I had 83 rental houses that I had to short sale. I lost many of them to foreclosure. I mean, it was bad, you guys. So now my credit shot. I got no money. And now I need to move all of my stuff from Salt Lake City to Spokane, Washington. And I can't qualify for a house. And so I had to rent a house. This is 2009, July of 9. I had to rent a house. And to get my first and last month's rent and security deposit, I had to borrow money from my life insurance policy. Now, if you guys have ever seen the movie "It's a Wonderful Life" with what's his name, Jimmy Stewart, Jimmy Swaggart, Jimmy Stewart,
Not Jimmy Swaggart.
yeah, Jimmy Stewart, and he says, "I'm worth more dead than alive." in 2009, that was a true statement for me.
Hmm.
I had to borrow money from my life insurance just to get a place for my family to live. I mean, we were broke. It was a very interesting time. Um, and I share that with you in humility in hopes that some of you will hear that and go, holy cow, it's been bad, but it's never been that bad. Because we've it's been tough.
Well, and I think, the one of the things that I've noticed, because I've got to watch you change over the years, is when I first met Lee, he had quite a swagger in his walk, um, and it was a confidence that was, that was magnetic, but he's a totally different person now. How's that? Um, it, and even though the confidence is still there, I believe that, all of the hardships that we've been through has changed from who you are from, back then we were, I'm the solution to, he's the solution. And we that ego is no longer. Lee checks it at the door on a regular basis. So it's
Yeah.
been neat for me to watch because it's been great to watch the evolution take place.
Yeah, pre-crash, you guys. I mean, I grew up in a Christian home. My dad was the youth leader when I was a kid. But when I turned 19, I was introduced to alcohol and girls, and I was very fond of both of them. And I was very backslidden from the Lord. I was partying and doing drugs and all kinds of things. And then in the midst of all that is when I started flipping houses. So now you got a party animal that's making a lot of money, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And in 2008, when I lost everything, that's when I came back to the Lord and started walking with the Lord again. And it had been 10 years. And so when Cherie met me, I was right in the middle of that playboy, rich guy driving Escalades and Range Rovers and thinking I was all that and a bag of chips. And it was the crash that brought me back to God. And so that's why I say I would, if I could go back and change it, I wouldn't, because that was probably the most important thing in all of that, is that now God is the CEO of this business. I'm merely stewarding what is his, what belongs to him. And my goal through this organization and through what we do here is to introduce Jesus Christ to as many people as I can. And that's why we now do what's called business as a ministry. And so I view all of our efforts on the for-profit side merely as tools and leverage to finance God's work through our nonprofit ministry called Be Bold for Jesus Ministries. We now run the largest nonprofit evangelical conference in the Pacific Northwest. We had 8,500 people there last year. We had several hundred people get saved. We had people, I think we had 27 people come forward and get baptized. We're now planning another one. We're expanding. We've got two in 2027. We're going to be in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We just got invited to come down to Knoxville, Tennessee in 2028 and do a 30,000 person venue for the Be Bold for Jesus conference. And so we're just seeing God blessing all of the work that we're doing on the nonprofit side, but all of it is made possible through the for-profit side. And I could really care less about any of the money. I mean, everything we're doing financially is going into the ministry. Yes, I take a salary, but I could care less. I mean, I drive a Ford truck, right? I haven't had a luxury car since I lost my Escalade and my Range Rover because I really just don't care anymore. Those things are just not important to me. That's why you're not going to see a commercial or a picture of me sitting on the front of a BMW or showing you all the cars in my garage, because I don't have a bunch of cars in my garage. I just don't care. All I want to do now is serve people and serve God and be a good steward of what he's blessed us with. So,
One of our clients said that you had to eat some humble pie. So
oh, yes.
a lot of
Yes,
humble pie. You got
yeah,
full on
I'm still stuffed.
it. So this kind of just shows again what we went through. Here you can see that the Great Recession, these were the big market drops. So it was, negative 57%, COVID 34%. So these are the things that we were struggling with at that time and that were impacting us as a company and, emotionally and professionally and a lot of things that were happening during that period of time.
Well, and Sherry, go back one because I believe this to be true, you guys. I believe that you're going to be seeing another crisis dip in 25, 26. It might carry into 27, but I'm going to call it the AI dip. Okay, the artificial intelligence dip. Because what the media is getting wrong, and the jobs report is really doing a poor job of representing this to the degree that it's happening. We have a massive unemployment rate going on in this country. My nephew just got a letter from UPS offering him $150,000 to leave and voluntarily resign. He's 32 years old. He's got a wife and kids. He's like, Lee, what do I do? I'm like, take the 100. They're offering him 150 grand to walk. I said, take the money. They're laying off 30,000 people. Take the money, reinvest it, go another direction. But AI is becoming so disruptive in both a positive and a negative way that I believe we're going to see another crisis dip as we all figure out how to live in this new autonomous world where you don't need the same number of people to get the job done. And I'll tell you, if you guys have young kids or grandkids, push them to the trades because robots and AI is not going to replace the trades. I was talking to my cousin this weekend. He is a diesel engine mechanic, and he has more job security than anybody I know, right? Because he's got to climb up under these big rigs and repair them. And certainly there's tools and automation that help with that, but mechanics are always going to be around. And so push your kids to the trades. Electricians are always going to be necessary. Roofers will always be important. Electricians are always going to be needed. So as long as people are investing time into those areas, they're going to be great. But everyone else is going to have to make adjustments.
Right. So it wasn't just a setback, it was a wake-up call for the financial world. It forced institutions and regulators to rethink everything, and those tough times pushed us to build stronger rules, us as a company, smarter risk management, and sharper focus on the long-term stability. So last time we had our live with Lee, we had Jacqueline on, Lee's wife. And when he pulled her in, she was extremely necessary during that period of time because she was the one who helped build those stronger rules and the smarter risk management and the sharper focus on our long-term stability. She's the one who kind of put the hammer down and said, this is what we need to do going forward. And so the types of houses that we invest in, the amount of risk that we put in those houses are all systemized around risk, and it's because of her. Anything you
Well,
want to add to that, Lee?
yeah, you all benefit, right, from the changes that we have made. Because if you guys look at even the Kogo lending box, right? The Kogo lending box is single family residential properties, 1 to 4 units, under the FHA cap, under 5 bedrooms and 3 baths, under 2,800 square feet, and under half of an acre of ground. The reason that that is Kogo's lending box is that property type that I just told you about represents 80% of the buying public's ability to afford a home. And so when we came out of the crash, guys, I was losing my shorts on commercial properties and large developments that nobody would buy. And unfortunately, at the time, I was not too big to fail. And so the government didn't come and bail me out. Well, guess what? If you have a portfolio in that 5 point buy box that I just gave you, the government will always bail you out. Because in times of recession, the first thing the feds do is they drop interest rates and they create first-time homebuyer programs to purchase homes that fit into the 5 point criteria that we now require as our lending criteria. That was not something we pulled out of the air. that was looking at what did the government do in response to that recessionary downturn in 2008 and 9 and 10. How did they get the economy moving again? And they put the greatest emphasis on that asset class. And so anybody that owned or was building or was holding those types of properties, they didn't have any financing problems. They didn't have any difficulty in selling real estate. They had the right product for the right time. And it just so happens, guys, it's the right product for all times. So if
Mhm.
you've ever been looking at the market going, oh my goodness, we're headed for a recession. If you've got single family, 1 to 4 unit apartment buildings or properties that are less than 2,800 square feet on less than half an acre below the FHA cap, under 2,800 square feet, you don't need to be worried about anything because the government is going to come in and drop rates and create loan product because they know that the way you spur an economy and you get things moving again is you get people to buy houses. Because statistically, every first time home buyer or second time home buyer, anytime you buy a home, within the first 12 months of purchasing that property, you will spend 10% of the purchase price on refrigerators and flooring and carpet and drapes and window coverings and appliances and whatever else you need. So if you go out and buy a $500,000 home within the next 12 months, you're going to spend 50 grand. And you're going to spend it at Lowe's and Home Depot and Walmart and Amazon and all of these merchants. This is consumer spending, and consumer spending makes up 2/3 of our GDP. The government knows this. And so anytime there's a recessionary downturn, that's exactly how they handle it. That's how they manage it. So by staying in that price point, the government will always bail you out. It's a good, safe place to be. And that's why when people come to me with these large development deals or these 300 unit apartment buildings, the first question I ask them is, do you have $250,000 in cash? Well, no. Okay, well, then you stick to the basics. Until you have 250 grand in cash, you stick to the basics because it's pretty hard to screw up when you just stick to the basics.
So what I want everyone to do is jump in the chat and put either '08 if you were investing during the '08 recession and COVID if you were investing in COVID. And then you can put both if you were doing both.
I don't have access to the chat,
I
Cherie.
know, I'm letting you know. So we have Jessica Ross was 2008 and COVID. She had experienced the same thing that you experienced, where she lost quite a bit in 2008. She rode out COVID like we did. Um, Paul, both '08 and COVID. Let's see. Rhonda, COVID and '08.
Okay, so we've got some veterans here in the room.
Yeah, we do.
Good.
Okay. So the 2008, the choices that made us stronger, we created guiding principles and that provided us clarity throughout the rest of the time that we've been investing. We back then we didn't have the data. Like we didn't allow data to run our business. We just kind of did it, you know. It was all instinctual. It was all, what's going to make us the most money. It was never a data-driven business. Since 2008, we have run everything by the numbers. And so we have KPIs that guide us every single week. On whether we're doing well, whether we're um looks like someone else is drawing on our screen. Whether we're doing well, whether we're doing poorly. So that's something that we have learned over the years. And then so the next thing that we've learned is partnerships. So Lee and I have built partnerships throughout the years, and it was our partner. Okay. It was
You're
our
writing
part.
chat disabled.
Yeah, I'm seeing chats.
This
So
is the first time I've ever had graffiti on a Zoom call. This
I
is
know. Good job, Frenchie, for being industrious. Um, so yeah, the chats are enabled, guys. I don't know what's going on, Frenchie. I'm seeing chats. Also, so what I was saying is partnerships. One of the things that actually saved our bacon was our partnerships. And when we started over basically our business, we started working with our JV partners. I don't know if you guys know who they are. I'm sure you do because you see us promote some of their webinars. But we were able to promote one of our webinars and our newest product, which at the time was Private Money Bank. I don't know. Does anyone? Show of hands, jazz hands. Do you guys remember Private Money Bank? Anyone? Okay.
no private money bank. Anybody private money exchange? Was anybody here for private money exchange? No. Okay. And then
Yeah.
we have, so what was the other one? Private money something.
We had Private Money Exchange.
Yeah, it didn't become Kogo until 2015,
Yeah.
when we decided to franchise the idea of private money and spent $1.5 million proving that that was a really bad idea. And then we said, you know what, we're just going to build everything around our brokers. And that's how we came to certified private money brokers and master brokers and brokers of record, which many of you are. But it all came from reiterations of what started out as Private Money Bank. So in 2010 is when we formed Private Money Bank. And about 6 months into running Private Money Bank, I got a letter from the FDIC. And they said, you can't use the word bank in the name of your company unless you're federally chartered. And I said, well, say that to the clothing bank, the food bank, the blood bank, the sperm bank. And they said, well, that doesn't apply here, Lee, because they're not in the finance business. You're in the finance business, so you can't call it private money bank. And so we spent $20,000 buying private money exchange from a German company so that we could have the .com. And that's when it was private money exchange, and that was probably 2011 through 2015. And then in 2015, we went to Kogo after spending $35,000 with a marketing firm in Salt Lake City, Utah, to tell us that there's a Greek word that means to bring together, and it's Kogo. And that's where Kogo Capital comes from. It's a Greek word that means to bring together. So Kogo brings people who need money together with people who have money, and that's where Kogo Capital comes from. And so we've been Kogo Capital ever since.
Yep. So the partnerships and we have long-lasting partnerships that we've had since that time. So we are strong believers in partnerships and helping people. Um,
Yeah, and that continues today, you guys, because all of you that are private money brokers, you're our partners. And
yeah,
so as I've mentioned, 2026 is the year of the broker, which is you guys, where we are going deep to entrench ourselves in a relationship with each and every one of you, because that's how we're going to grow and scale the business, is by partnering with you guys. And that's we're really excited about what we're doing now and where we're headed.
yeah, we have a lot of things that are coming down the pike for our brokers that we're really excited about and ways that we can support you in a more substantial way. So we're excited to tell you about those things. We're not going to go into depth on them today, but just know that we are going to be announcing some really neat things where we can help you in a more substantial way, broker deals. So, and also, guys, Frenchie, I just want to let you know that everyone helped me figure out why you're not able to chat. If you want to chat with me, you just have to go and pick my icon in the little, instead of everyone, just go to my icon. And that's how I'm actually speaking with everyone. For some reason, Lee, the main chat box is not working, but they can chat with me specifically.
Okay. So choose
Oh,
Cherie Constance when you chat, and
right.
then you don't have to use graffiti on the screen.
So don't select everyone, select Cherie. And that's the thing. I was wondering why everyone was just chatting with me specifically, but I just thought I was the popular person in the room.
You are
Um,
Cherie.
And our experience has informed us during these tough decisions. So um, we've created rules. We have the numbers to justify them. Our partners are here to help us. You are here to help us, and we're here to help you. And then the experience that we've gained through all the years is what informs us as we go forward. So.
And before you move off this slide, Sheree, I want you guys to understand we're not just here to give you a trip down memory lane. All right. We want you to incorporate what we've learned into your own business. So my question for you from this slide is, what are your guiding principles for your business? What are the guardrails of what you will do and what you won't do? What type of deals will you do and not do? And what numbers are you tracking to know whether or not you're moving in the right direction? Now, many of you have been through our training, so you're familiar with the rule of 56, which is the KPI we use when we're investing in real estate. 25 letters, 25 phone calls, 4 offers, 2 networking events. That's the rule of 56. So these are the guiding KPIs for your business. On the brokering side, we use the rule of 54, which is 25 letters, 25 phone calls, and 4 LOIs sent to prospective borrowers. Your partners are your borrowers and your lenders. Okay. So when I ask you, how big is your database? How many customers, prospective customers, do you have in your CRM, which is Dealio.pro, right? That's where you should be collecting and storing your partners, because it's your database, you guys, that's going to carry you through the challenging times. It's those relationships that you've built previously that are going to carry you through those difficult times. So you need to be thinking about this whole business holistically, from what do we do, how do we do it, who do we do it with, what numbers do we track to know we're moving in the right direction, who are the partners that we're relying on to move us forward and move us through, and what instincts do we have that are informing future decisions. So all of you need to be thinking about this as it relates to your own business. You can go to the next slide, Sheree.
So here's a direct comparison of what we experienced between these two. And we're focusing on these two a little bit because they were so massive for our company. When COVID hit, at that time we had our events throughout the nation. So I don't know if you guys remember the funding tour when we would go to various cities throughout the nation. And so we were sending our team out on a weekly to biweekly basis, not biweekly, but every was it 2 times a week or just once a week?
We had 2 or 3 teams out every week.
Yeah, because we not just the funding tours, we did broker certification out at hotels. We did, um, oh gosh, rehab certification during those periods of time. And so we were constantly on the road, and that does take a toll on the team and it takes a toll on the company. And so when we hit COVID, we didn't, you know, we had this momentary lapse of like, what do we do? And then we just pivoted. And so what we did is we brought everything in-house. We brought the funding tour online, and now we have it every week online. And I think it was that 2008 crisis that showed us that you have to be agile. You have to be able to pivot immediately, or these types of things happen and you won't survive them. So pivoting, being agile, being flexible, being able to change what you're doing will be one of the best things that you guys can do.
Yeah, but
Um,
all true. But guys, the underlying theme of survival through all of these ups and downs is database. You have to have a database of customers, of lenders, of investors, of potential partners. You got to be forming those relationships now and incubating those relationships, not just when times are good, but to know that you're going to do business together when times are hard. Your database is the lifeblood of your business. And so if you're not making one of your KPIs database management or database growth, you're missing a huge opportunity. I remember when Cherie first started. Are we talking about this at any point, Cherie, database or Infusionsoft or anything?
mm-mm,
Okay.
mm-mm.
So I'm going to go down a rabbit trail briefly. It'll only take 60 seconds. It's 2005. I'm sitting at a conference in Chicago with a guy named Dan Kennedy. If you don't know Dan Kennedy, you should look him up. He's got great stuff on marketing, and you need to read his book called Magnetic Marketing. But I'm sitting in at this big convention center in Chicago. There's 1,500 people in the room, and Dan Kennedy gets up on stage and he says, if you don't have a database where you're storing your customers, you don't have a legitimate, viable business. So I want you to get up out of your chair and race to the back of the room and sign up for this new fancy CRM system called Infusionsoft. It was $17,000 back in 2005. That would be like 50 grand today. And like 400 of us all got up with our credit cards and we stood in line to give Dan Kennedy 20 grand to invest in this system. And it was shortly after that that Cherie started. And so when I came back from that conference, I went into Cherie's office. I said, hey, Cherie, this is a CRM. Apparently it's important. I need you to figure out how to use that thing. And I said, we need to build our database. So I gave her all of the business cards that I'd collected over the years. They had rubber bands around them. This was my database management system, rubber bands around business cards. And the ones that were important, I'd put into a Rolodex, literally a Rolodex, one of those round ones, and I would staple the business cards in it. And so with all of my business cards and Rolodex, we had 250 customers, 250 leads that we loaded into the CRM. And then Cherie started building emails. And so she'd write an email and we'd send everybody an email once a week. And so we set a KPI that we want to add 25 people to our CRM every week. And guys, that KPI alone was so important in growing and expanding the database. Cherie, what is our weekly KPI for new leads now?
Our weekly KPI for new leads now is 1,400.
So we've gone from 2,500 or 25 relationships a week to where now we want to be bringing in 1,400 new relationships a week. Okay. And that'll probably grow from here. But our database expanded from 250 leads to what are we at now? 1.2 million, something like that. So again, I'm stressing you guys the importance of database, and it should be a KPI. Those of you that have Dealio.pro, good news, you already have a functioning CRM. But I have even greater news. We're working on something even better for you. I can't divulge much information, but there's a better system coming for you from a CRM standpoint. We're keeping Dealio. It's a great lead tool, but we're actually working to build you guys a much more intuitive CRM. So stay tuned. We'll be revealing that here in the next 90 days.
Mm-hmm. And I know that Jim, you said that we're talking a big picture here, and you just started as a broker, so congratulations. We're glad to have you. But we will be talking about this more ways that we will be helping you as a broker. In fact, I'm going to be putting together a new presentation for you to be able to give to people. So that's one of the new things that we'll be doing is creating a new presentation that should be coming down the pike in the next couple weeks. So we are going to be putting a lot more time, effort, and energy into our brokers. We just want to help you guys out. We want you to be successful. I think we've already talked about this as far as what it meant for everybody. And right now, we have the inflation. It has actually gone down quite a bit. And so when that first hit after, in 2022, we certainly noticed something, but I don't believe that impacted our business as much as other things. I know it impacted everyone's grocery store bill and their bill at the gas pump. But that was different for us, for sure.
Well, nobody knew it was happening, right? Because between 2021 and 2023, everybody was rolling in cash.
Right.
Because if you remember, the government was sending people checks to stay home. They expanded unemployment from 6 weeks to 2 years. They put out a foreclosure moratorium so people couldn't get foreclosed on or evicted out of their home, which, by the way, was just released this January in the state of Washington after 4 years of a foreclosure moratorium. And so there's all this free money flowing. Interest rates are at 3%. So everybody's refinancing or selling their house and buying a new one. So there's all this money running around. And this is what was driving inflation because all of this money now is looking for somewhere to go. So people are buying new cars, they're buying campers, they're buying vacation homes, they're investing in various startups and syndication offerings. It was a crazy, crazy time. It was a lot of really unsophisticated money that was being tossed
Right.
around. And that's why inflation was going nuts. But now, when rates spiked, if you guys remember the fall of 2023, when rates went from 3% to 7.5% over a 6 month window of time, and suddenly everybody went, oh my goodness, inflation, this is painful. We better fix this.
Yeah,
And so that's now what the administration has been trying to do is get inflation back under 2 because that's where inflation needs to live, is at 2.
great. And Avora says, thank you for helping to support and build their businesses. So we're excited to do that. One thing I wanted to say is, I said that partner saved our bacon, but we wouldn't have been able to work with that partner had we not had a list. And so it was that partner and our customer base that saved our bacon. And so that's why having that list is incredibly important for the health and safety of your business. So this market, what's going on right now, it feels familiar in the degree that there's an uneasy feeling. I'm sure everyone on this call has felt that in the economy and the environment that we're in right now. Um, everyone's talking about valuations and hot sectors. Policy changes always bring a bit of choppiness. Retail investors swing from super excited to worried sick. So those are some of the familiar feelings that we all recognize, right? We've been there before, done that, same old type of thing. But some of the things that are new that we're experiencing, and Lee talked about this before, is that AI is changing how the markets move and how fast. We had someone on here ask the question, Lee, do you think that it will take white collar positions, AI?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, AI is going to dominate uh, businesses or jobs that are um, redundant in nature, where you're doing the same thing consistently, repeatedly, over and over and over again. Those jobs are going to be consumed very quickly. Robots will actually take over some of those jobs as well. Strategic thinking, AI now thinks more strategically than most humans in less time. So some of those roles are going to be taken over. I'll tell you guys, the safest place you can be in the coming economy is self-employed. The
Yeah.
safest place you can be is self-employed. Because I've had some pretty hard days, but not once have I ever thought about firing myself. Not once, right?
I've thought about firing you.
Yeah, I know you have, and you've thought about quitting too. I know because I can be a real bear to work with. But the safest place to be, you guys, is self-employed. So carve out your own niche, figure out how to generate income, and just pour your time, energy, and effort into that, as opposed to wondering if you're going to have a job in 18 months when robots and AI take over. Just build your business now. And I know that that's why you're all here, right? Is because
Mhm.
that's exactly what you're doing. So I would say you're heading in the right direction.
How many of you are using AI? Jazz hands. Yeah, good. Good. If you're not, and you're worried about using it, or you don't think you can use it, AI is extremely, I would say, easy. It is one of those softwares out there that once you get into it, and you start asking questions, you'll find how easy it is. Uh, which is really why it's become so universally used and why it's changing our economy because it's so easy. Obviously, global politics. We all know what's happening in the world right now. And so that's putting a stress on the economy and obviously our you know, uh, awareness of our finances and how we feel about things. Um, Big shifts are changing who works and what people buy. So these are new things that are happening in the world today. The same thing, though, is how you react. So, even though there are differences in what market cycle we're in versus what market cycle we were in before, um, I think what really is the strongest thing is how we react to it, right? You can't change what the environment, what's happening in the environment. You can only change how you react to it. Do you have anything to add to that, Lee?
I completely agree.
Yeah. And so in our instance, uh, for me, AI was a hard thing to fully embrace at first because I felt like we were uh, eliminating some of the God-given gifts that we have, our talents, our abilities, our thought process. Um, that can be true. However, if you use AI responsibly and you use it to augment what you already have and those gifts that you have, then it's a totally different animal. And I believe it's better if you do it that way.
Yeah, you guys know that I've hired a very high level coach that's helping us grow and scale Kogo to $1 billion a year originator. And I conveyed some initial hesitation with AI and fully embracing it as a technology. And he said, Lee, you're looking at it the wrong way. He said, you need to think of AI, and specifically in this case, ChatGPT. He says, you need to look at ChatGPT as 100 of the smartest people who exist on planet Earth or have ever existed on planet Earth, waiting in a room to answer any question that you have for them, and they'll do it in record time. He said you would be crazy, and people would think that you are a fool if you did not consult with them to get the job done faster, more accurately, more directly, more efficiently. He said you'd be a fool not to use it. And I went, well, when you put it like that, you're right. Okay. Just like we would be a fool not to use banks to give us financial leverage so that we could buy more real estate and create more cash flow. Just like we would be a fool as a private money broker not to leverage other people's piles of cash to help our customers get access to funding. We would be a fool not to leverage knowledge that's readily available to us at our fingertips. So it's not about cheating, it's about being a good steward of your ability to leverage other people's time, talent, and resources. So use it. It's a tool. It's incredible, and
Which
it
is why you're all here
frees you
today.
up. Yeah, it frees you up to do the things you're really good at. Right? Like AI could not be sitting here with you guys right now having this conversation.
Right.
Now, because I've been using AI all day to get a lot of other things done, I have time to be sitting here with you guys having this conversation, right? So use it in the areas that it'll make you more efficient so that you can be more present for the things that AI cannot be used for. And that really is the personal one on one interaction, investing time with clients and customers and family and friends. If AI frees up an extra 2 hours a day that gives you more time to spend with loved ones, that's AI well spent, in my opinion.
Well, and Jim said that he's been using it for 10 years now, so he was an early adopter. And now he's going to try and use it for skip tracing. So that's awesome. He says that Claude is more user friendly, and I actually use both. So that's awesome, Jim.
I'm a
Uh,
one AI kind of guy.
he doesn't, yeah, he's very monogamous with his AI.
I am. I'm a ChatGPT guy. I don't stray. I don't cheat. I'm very loyal.
Rhonda thinks that it's annoying and horrible for customer service. So I imagine that's, what's interesting is part of the reason why we changed the CEO Fireside is we wanted to be like this because there's going to be less of this going forward where we can connect as human beings and we can communicate with each other and you can see a real human being on screen, right? So we wanted to breach that trust, what is it called, Lee? Deficiency trust, uh, uh, uh,
There's a
recession.
crisis of trust.
Yeah, a trust recession that's going on right now. And it's because of AI. So that's why we wanted to do this kind of a type of thing where we can see you and we can talk to you and we can have real conversations because I think those are going to be what's really important going forward as we go into this type of AI world. So Eric says use AI for business growth, not for spiritual insights. Seek God for that. Amen.
Amen.
Benjamin says, I provide AI for businesses as part of my business products. Awesome, Benjamin. Perfect. Renee Kane says, can you suggest a good way to start learning AI? Gosh, we're going to have to, I mean, part of the whole broker program going forward will be AI to help you guys with AI. Um, Honestly, I didn't take any classes. I just signed up for ChatGPT, and you can do it free to start with. The great thing about having your own personal AI is that it learns your voice, it learns the questions you're going to ask, it learns all these things about you. And that's also scary. I understand that at the same time. But it starts talking to you in a way that it knows you. And when you're writing, marketing copy, when you're creating various products and services, AI can help you immensely in doing that. And it's better if it knows you because then you can, it will be in your voice. ChatGPT, I believe, is $14 a month if you do the bot version. So it's not
20.
incredibly expensive. There is a versions that's 200 a month. I don't recommend it. That's only if you're going to go into deep research phase.
Yeah, guys, go to ChatGPT, set up a free account. I agree with Sheree. It is $20 a month for the pro account, which is sufficient. I had the $200 a month one. It didn't provide any more value for me, so I just used the $20 one. But for those of you that aren't familiar with it or haven't used it, just go into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT, train and educate me on how to better use you for my business. And then it'll start asking you a series of questions. It'll say, well, what is your business? And you're going to say, I'm a private money broker. And it's going to say, well, what kind of products do you offer? I offer these types of products. And then it'll give you a step-by-step thing that you can use to grow your business and scale your business. And you can sit there and have a conversation with it. And for those that are slow typers, you can just click the little microphone and you can talk to it and it'll dictate everything that you're saying and you don't have to type a word. So for my technology challenged friends, it's even a great tool for you guys.
It is. Bill, thanks, Bill, for the shout out. He said that Ariana, first and third Thursdays is always using AI. So I will make sure to pull the list that we have on this webinar and make sure that you guys are on those invites. And you can, Ariana is a font of knowledge. She's awesome. She talks about Senfuse and Delio.pro and how she uses AI in those. So love her. She's great. So I'll make sure you guys get an invitation to that.
Yeah, and just stick with us too, you guys, because we're doing a lot of AI implementation and integration in the back office of what we're building for you. And we're also now teaching a lot of AI in our certification classes, our master level programs. We even now have an on-site training where you can fly out and spend 3 days in office with us and work one-on-one with our team. It's called an Kogo in office mentorship. But you come out, we give you leads, you dial leads, we set up your websites and everything else. It's fantastic. And that is a lot of AI adoption and integration. So just know that we're going to be rolling a lot of it out to you guys as our brokers.
And Frenchie says that a lot of the projects that were sitting on her shelf are now getting done. So that's
Great.
because she's using AI. So that's awesome. While I go through these, I just want to ask, what would you like us to teach you on with AI?
That's a good question.
Yeah. So think
Yeah,
about that.
as we're building out our educational roadmap, you guys, is there anything in particular that you would like for us to emphasize or highlight or focus on as it relates to AI, a adoption, AI leverage, or particular topics around AI?
We can even have a AI for beginners to start with. Show you how we use it.
Perfect.
Oh, Rhonda says Ariana is a gem. So I'll let her know if that will make her feel good, you guys. She does a lot. She's a hard worker and we really are thankful for her. Okay. So while you guys do that, I'm just going to go through, but I also need you to do this too. So your playbook for market downturns. Tell me what your score is on these, like your solid cash reserves, easy access to funds. What do you think? From a score of 1 to 5, 1 being the least important, 5 being the most important. Disciplined approach to debt and leverage, 1 to 5. Strong network, lenders, partners, advisors, 1 to 5. Clear rules for tough decisions, preset triggers.
So to make this easier for you guys, we're going to make solid cash reserves number one. So in the chat, just write number one and then your score, right?
Mm.
5 means you've got incredible cash reserves, you have easy access to funds, you got no problem. Okay. Number one means you've got no money, you don't have anybody, you got no cash reserves, and you're not in a great spot. So for you, you would put a 1-1. Others of you might say, I'm kind of in the middle of the road there. So you would be a 1-3. Okay. Then you go to question 2, you're going to put in a 2. Do you have a disciplined approach to debt and leverage? Not really. That's a 1. Yeah, I have a great disciplined approach. That's a 5. So you're going to be a 2-5. So all we need is 2 numbers per line. And there's no right or wrong answer here, you guys. And we're not going to call you out for any of these. We're just trying to better understand you as our customer and determine what areas do we need to be focusing on and emphasizing to help you get to where you're going more quickly. Obviously, question 3, you'd put in a 3. Do you have a strong network of lenders, partners, advisors? If yes, it'd be a 3 and a 5. And then just do that for each of the 5 questions there. And then was there another sheet of questions, Sheree, or is this the only one?
This is the only one.
Okay. So we'll give you 60 seconds of dead air to focus on the task at hand. Okay, Sheree, do we have responses from the greater majority?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's keep moving.
Okay. Um, so if you had $1 million starting, and this I'm asking Lee this, if you had $1 million starting today, um, what would you do
Huh. I kind
to
of want,
start with?
yeah, I want them to respond before I respond.
Okay. All right. Well, if you had $1 million today, what would you do? What would you do with that?
While they're responding, Cherie, what would you do?
Hmm. I go on a vacation first. It's funny because I don't I think I'm going to be a horrible retiree. I think I'm just going to be terrible at it. I enjoy work. I believe in the degree that it's a privilege to work. I'm not just saying that because my boss is on the line, but I really do enjoy it. And so I would have a hard time retiring. But I would put it into some real estate into notes for sure. I think notes are an excellent way to build and diversify your wealth. I've already done that. And then I would, gosh, I would pay off my house. I would pay off debt. So I'd be debt free and I invest the rest.
Into what?
Notes, real estate, and myself. I mean, I think, you know, just like you on the line here, there's so much to learn and so much to understand. Um, and so I think you investing in yourself is probably the best thing that you can do.
Okay. Any other responses to that question, Cherie?
So pay off debts. Bill said that. Right on, Bill. We're the same. Hire a coach to spend a whole week together. Once
That's
a month.
smart.
Once a month. A whole week, once a month. Very
Yeah.
smart. The coach that Lee has is remarkable, super smart. And the great thing about a coach is that they see what you don't see. It's funny because last night we had an exec meeting, and one of the things we said to Lee is we need you to keep bringing the ideas, be the visionary, and because we just when you're in the thick of it, you're not seeing everything. And so someone who comes from the outside into, I mean, even though Lee's in the office, he sees what we're missing because he's not in our everyday job. So that's the importance of a coach.
Yeah. So I want to address the question from the standpoint of I've lost everything, right? So I've got nothing. I don't have credit. I don't have contacts. I don't have a database. I got nothing, right? And I got $1 million. So how am I going to take $1 million and turn it into $2 million? And then how am I going to take $2 million and turn it into $4 million and $4 million into $8 million? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hire an assistant. That's the first thing I would do. There's a story that I often tell. Some of you have probably heard it, but I hired my first personal assistant back in 2001. Now I had been flipping houses for 5 years. I did not have an assistant up to that time, and I'd done pretty well. But it wasn't until I was forced to hire an assistant that I understood the value of time leverage. We talk about AI giving us technological leverage and efficiency. We talk about OPM as giving us other people's money as leverage. But rarely do we talk about other people's time as leverage. And so a personal assistant or a VA is really the greatest tool in your arsenal or at your disposal because it doubles your time availability. So I have knowledge. What I don't have in many cases is the time to deploy that knowledge into the tasks that produce income, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hire an assistant and I'm going to go rent some Regis office space for $500 a month. And I'm going to sit that assistant in my office and I'm going to say, okay, I've heard that people make a lot of money investing in real estate. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull a list. We're going to start sending mail. You're going to call them. You're going to set up appointments for me. You're going to bring them into here to the office. I'm going to meet with them and I'm going to start wholesaling real estate because the fastest return on cash is wholesaling. Okay. That's the fastest return on cash. It's the highest yield in real estate, much higher than brokering. It's the highest yield is wholesaling houses. So I'm going to start building this wholesale business, and that's going to produce about a 100% rate of return. So my assistant's going to cost me $6,000 a month, and that business within 90 days will be producing $60,000 a month. Okay. Now from there, I'm going to start. Maybe I'll buy some of these houses, but I'm going to buy them, and then I'm going to wholesale them, and I'm going to start carrying financing on behalf of these people that I'm selling houses and carrying debt for. And then I'm going to take that debt, I'm going to sell it, and I'm going to get my money back, and I'm going to create cash flow. So now I have $60,000 a month coming in from my wholesaling business. I have $5,000 or $6,000 coming a month coming in from my note business because I've now bought and leveraged notes and I've rekindled my cash, but I'm going to have my assistant managing all of these things. Then I'm going to go out and I'm going to start working with some partners and I'm going to create broker relationships to get other people to bring me deals, both wholesale deals, fix and flip deals, finance deals, brokered leveraged finance deals. And if you guys haven't figured it out, what I've done is I've effectively built the current business that we're in. And the reason I've done that is because I don't know of any other way to make more money in less time. And if I
Right.
did, I would be doing that. Right? Guys, the reason I'm in the business that I'm in is that I haven't found anything else I could do that would make more money in less time. And
So I'm
believe
going to
me,
change my answer.
when I do and if I do, I would tell you. But this is the thing that makes the most money in the shortest period of time.
I'm going
That's
to change my answer to your answer. Is that cool?
yeah, yeah. Or Cherie, just give me your money. We could work together, right? Instead of 1 million, we have 2 million, and then we can just deploy more cash in more places and double down on what we're doing. Which would
Well,
be really smart, right? Because Cherie's really smart. She would bring a skill set to the business that I don't currently or personally have, nor do I want to have it or learn it. So she could do it. And now we could grow the business even more rapidly. So we've done this, you guys, through leverage time, leverage relationships, leverage technology. And I think for some of you, you might be making this whole process a lot harder or difficult than it needs to be. And I want you to think about that. Am I making this harder than it needs to be? Because it really isn't that difficult. It's finding somebody who needs the product and service that you have and then communicate it in a way that they understand it so they can say yes.
I think, one of the things I didn't think about until I started reading some of your answers is I would help my brother, my younger brother, and my older sister who um didn't weren't able to build up um their cash reserves. So I'd want to help them. Um and then so I'm going to go really quickly through some of these. Avora said that she would put 250,000 into a religious contribution. She would put money into a timberland over 250 acres, buy some single family rentals, increase educational investments, and buy an RV park.
Good.
So, Frenchie wants to invest and buy more properties. Jim, um, pay off a mortgage, give away the rest to senior center and church. That's awesome. Pet rescue operations. Um,
So
And
Sheree, I want to jump in here because these are all really good responses, you guys.
mhm.
Okay. But here's the challenge. If you do all of the benevolent things with your working capital, you don't have any working capital. And so what you need to do first is you need to build businesses that create cash flow. It's then out of the cash flow that you do the benevolent acts. Give money to your brother and sister, give money to your church or your favorite charity, but don't forsake the principle. You've got to invest the principle and give away the surplus. Okay. And this goes back to stewardship. And I can give you example after example after example out of the Bible where the one who didn't steward and shepherd the principle to create more was actually shunned, right? So we don't want to spend the principle. We want to invest the principle and give away the surplus. Okay. So I love all the benevolent things you guys are going to do. But before you do those things, you need to create a business that produces consistent, reliable, predictable cash flow. That needs to be the number one priority. Consistent, predictable, reliable cash flow. Out of the predictable, reliable cash flow is where we do the benevolent things.
Right. And when you said about your, the wholesaling thing, that made a lot of sense because if you start building, if your money is making money, then you can certainly help a lot more people.
Exactly. But if you give it all away, you will not have any money left to help anyone else. And this is the reason why most people who win the lottery go bankrupt because they take this windfall of cash, they give it all away and do things with it that they should have done differently. And within 2 to 3 years, they're bankrupt. And statistically, it's like 89% of lottery winners will be bankrupt in 36 months because they don't know how to steward capital or manage principal. And so that's what you guys have to get good at is managing principal. And right now, you all have principal, even if it's your Social Security check that isn't very much, but it's something, right? So how are we managing that? Because the Bible says that if you're not faithful in the little things, you're not going to be faithful in the big things. And so if we're not stewarding the little amount that God has given us faithfully, wisely, that he's not going to give us more. You got to be faithful in the little things or you won't be faithful in the big things. So how are you stewarding and shepherding the current resources that you have? You've got money because you're here. You got a computer because you're watching. You've got a phone because you're listening. You have all the tools you need to build a business because you don't need money to build a business. You just need a good idea and the ability to communicate it to people who have the cash that can bankroll it.
All really good answers. So I think,
We got 10 minutes left, Sheree.
right. So I'm actually going to go to just really quickly so you guys can grab a spot. We want to help you guys. And so if you go to leearnoldsystem.com/March and just get a strategy session with one of our experts, that's what we really want to do this year is help everyone with our 25 years of knowledge, with everything that we've done, all the things we've talked about here, ways that we can help you be stewards of your wealth, generate more wealth, so that you can help others. So please, we'd love to talk to you.
Yeah. So if you all would please go to leearnoldsystem.com/March. And these are just 30-minute strategy sessions. Okay. And just to manage expectations, it's not going to be with me. It's not going to be with Cherie. It's going to be with one of my business development consultants. They've been briefed on this conversation. They know why you are booking this appointment. But the question I want you to ask them when you get on the phone with them, okay? Here's the question I want you to ask them exactly as I want it asked, okay? Here's the question. Show me how to better steward or shepherd, depending on if you use New King James or NIV. How do I steward or shepherd my current resources more effectively? Okay, how do I better steward or shepherd my current resources more effectively? Okay, because now what that question does is it causes us to break down, what do you have? Where is it? What are you doing with it? Is that the highest and best use of that asset or that collateral or that revenue? Or could we maybe put it somewhere else to get a different outcome or a better outcome or a safer outcome or a higher yield in a shorter period of time? And so, as Cherie mentioned at the very top of the scene, you guys, we are not financial advisors, all right? So we're not going to tell you to buy this stock or invest in that mutual fund. We just want to help you be more strategic about what you've got, where you're investing it, the returns that you're getting, and whether or not maybe there are some other things you could be doing to be getting different results. So that's what this is about. So we have set aside their time to invest it into you and your business at no cost. This is just us giving back because we want to help you. So go invest the 30 minutes with them. You guys can choose the time slot that works best for you, but the conversation needs to begin with that question. Show me how I can better steward the resources that I have more efficiently. Cherie, last 7 minutes that we have here now, let's open it up for some Q&A. Were there any questions that were asked during our time? And if not, that's okay. We can, I mean, if you guys have questions now, put them in. Let's address them. Questions for
And
me,
everyone,
questions for Cherie.
I figured out how to let y'all into the everyone box. So you can ask questions there too. Let's see.
Well, while you guys are thinking of your questions, I have a question for you that you can type into the chat here. What do you need from us? And I know we asked you the question, what do you need from us as it relates to AI, right? But just in general, what can we as an organization do? What can I as an individual do to better help you, serve you, support you, encourage you? I'd love feedback on that as well. I'm not going to address those things here and now. I will look at those later because I do want to address questions as you have them. But you guys would be helping me a lot to give me feedback on how can I better help you? How can we better help you? Okay, Cherie, questions?
I'm looking.
I did see one that popped up on my screen, and it was I think it was Rhonda's. That wasn't a question. It was a how can you help us? And she said, "Give me a zero down DSCR loan." Rhonda, right now they don't exist. Okay, at 75 or 80% LTV. You can get them at 50% LTV. So LTV is really what makes those adjustments. But you're not going to see those yet. And I'm saying yet because the DSCR space has gotten very competitive statistically. And this is right off I mean, the ink is still wet from this thing. This is the recent update. DSC volume has grown approximately 60% year over year among active lenders Investors are using DSCR to scale portfolios without debt to income constraints. And so what we saw, this is my prediction. This is Lee Arnold's crystal ball. Right or wrong, this is what I think is going to happen. But if we go back to 2005 and 6, when underwriting criteria was so loose that they were creating all kinds of silly loan products as a way to get their capital deployed. And the biggest offenders were Greenpoint Mortgage and Countrywide. Okay, and Washington Mutual was in that mix as well. Those are the three major companies that went bankrupt during 2008, 2009. But the reason they went bankrupt is they were writing really stupid loans, right? No money down, no qualifying, no credit score, bankruptcy okay, 100% loan to value. I mean, just stupid loans. I believe, and this is my prediction, I believe that the DSCR space is going to become so crowded, so competitive, that private equity firms are going to start writing stupid loans. And so I believe that a zero down DSCR loan is right around the corner. I believe that there are boardrooms right now having a conversation. How do we deploy the $2 billion we have in cash? Well, if we offered a zero down DSCR loan, I bet you we could write more paper. So Rhonda, stay tuned. I believe that a lot of zero down DSCR loans are coming down the pike. Right now there aren't any, but that could be an inaccurate statement by this time tomorrow. So it's a very fun and exciting time. I'm very curious to see what happens next.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Someone wants to know how they can write off their education.
That's an excellent question for your tax advisor or your CPA.
Yes. We had a lot of really good information on what they do with $1 million. Create cash flow, pay off credit card debt, help church and others.
Good.
So,
and no questions, really?
Let's see. Do we still get the Kiplinger report? I guess people are missing hearing that. So yes, he has it right there.
But this is not a Live with Lee, is it, Cherie?
This is Live with Lee.
Oh, it is. Okay. All right, then I'm going to share two with you. Okay, this is Kiplinger letter, hot off the press today. I'm going to give you first housing. Says the Federal Reserve wants banks to do more mortgage servicing and lending. Expect the Fed to propose new rules that would reduce the amount of money that banks are required to set aside to originate and hold mortgages. So just like I was talking about here, you guys, the rules are getting more flexible, right? We got to get more money on the streets, so let's make the rules less stringent. Such a proposal would allow for less money to cover losses with a bigger borrower down payment. It would also change how mortgage servicing rights, the right to manage a loan and collect payments, are treated on a bank's balance sheet. Banks apply a risk weight of 250% to mortgage servicing rights, compared with 50% for mortgages that are on the books. The banking industry says the proposal would help improve affordability. While regulators intended these requirements to limit excessive bank concentration in risky assets, critics say that they also reduce their participation in this space. Many big banks stopped focusing on mortgages after the 2008 financial crisis. Non-bank mortgage lenders, that is DSCR and private equity, and servicers would lose market shares to banks, which would find the business more profitable. The rules would also affect the market for mortgage-backed securities by increasing the number of mortgages banks keep on their books compared with how many they sell to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. So this is just today, you guys. So the very thing I was just talking about, the feds are proposing that traditional institutional banks reduce the restrictions on the types of loans that they write and the types of loans that they keep on their books. Okay, so that is the Kiplinger letter on the topic of housing. This one I found interesting, not highly applicable, but it is interesting, and it's specifically related to transit. Here's what it says. A new transit trend. Speed limits that change based on conditions. Several states are experimenting with variable speed limits, or VSLs, using digital roadway signs that temporarily lower or increase speed limits if road conditions change due to traffic, construction, severe weather, etc. Texas is the latest state to try virtual speed limits in response to a deadly interstate pileup of 133 vehicles in 2021 that killed 6 people and injured many more. Virtual speed limit backers say the tragedy could have been avoided if the speed limit had been temporarily lowered. Pennsylvania says its variable speed limit system has led to 7% fewer winter traffic crashes on Interstate 80 and a 34% drop in serious injuries and fatalities in those crashes. Other states are testing variable speed limits on some roads or are considering doing so. VSLs have been used for years in Europe, including on Germany's famed Autobahn. I think this is a great idea, right? If you guys have ever driven in Montana, if you guys remember in the late 90s, the early 2000s, Montana did away with speed limits on its interstates, which was really fun because I drove them and really dangerous. And so they finally settled on 80 miles per hour. And there are some stretches of highway both in Montana and southern Utah where you can go 85 miles an hour. But I think this whole variable speed limit thing is a great idea, right? If there's high congestion, and they can do it all now with cameras. So, you know, if too many cars go past the camera at one time, suggesting high traffic counts, they drop the speed limit from 65 to 55. I think it's great. But again, it's AI, right? It's bots controlling this, and it's going to be done in real time. So we're even seeing all of these things we've been talking about in our Department of Transportation. Going to be interesting. It's going to be a fun decade, you guys. I'm excited. A lot of fun and exciting. So don't be afraid of don't be afraid of the change. Be flexible to the change.
Awesome.
And I think we're out of time, Cherie.
We are.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Guys,
make sure you guys.
I apologize. I failed to open us up in prayer, so I will close us in prayer. But Cherie, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say, make sure you guys grab your appointment, and we look forward to working with you. Let us know how whether you enjoyed this session, any changes you'd have, criticisms, critiques, praise, all that jazz.
Yeah. Okay. Let's bow our heads. I'll pray. Lord, I thank you for technology. I thank you that we can meet in this way. I thank you for each person that's here watching, Lord, participating. I thank you for their desire to learn more, for their desire to be better stewards of the resources that you've given to them. And Lord, we know that resources are our health, number one, our homes, the technology from our telephone to the internet, to AI. Lord, our resources are our credit score, our reputation, the people we know. And Lord, I truly believe that all of these resources have been given to us by you. And so I pray that we would be good stewards, good shepherds of these resources that you've entrusted to us. Lord, on that day that when we meet you, you can say, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful with a little, you've been faithful with a lot. And so, Lord, I pray that we would not think of the things we don't have and think, well, I'll be faithful when I have more, but rather, Lord, we would be good stewards of what you have given us, and that we would acknowledge and recognize that everything we have is from you. Everything we have belongs to you. We take nothing with us. It's all yours. So, Lord, help us to view it in that regard. Help us to be flexible with the changes that are coming. We don't know what they are, Lord, but you do. You know what's coming, so help us to just stay close to you, to stay in faith, to be flexible, and to always be seeking opportunities to share the good news of the gospel and what you have done in coming to this earth in the form of a man, Jesus, dying on the cross, Lord, taking the sin upon yourself, being our sacrifice. It's through your blood and redemption and rising again, Lord, that we have the promise of salvation and spending eternity with you in heaven. And that is the gospel. That's the good news. And Lord, I do pray that anyone here that does not know you, that they would seek you out. They would invite you into their heart. They would make you their Lord and Savior, and that they too would become a business as a ministry. And Lord, for those that do know you and have a relationship with you, I pray that they would be bold in their business, that they would be bold in their lives, that they would be bold with their families, and that they too would use their business as a ministry to draw others close to you and to share the good news of the gospel. Thank you, Lord, for the privilege of doing that. We love you so very much, and we are grateful for all that you do, all that you're doing, and all that you've done. And we love you. In Jesus' name we pray, and everyone said,
Amen.
Amen. Amen. All right, you guys, thanks for joining us here today. Have a great rest of your week, and stay in touch, you guys. Talk soon. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.